What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video at the Fragrance Fraternity. We got the weekly rotation today. Hopefully can tell you guys about some fragrances that you may want to try yourself, that you may want to experience, or maybe you're just going to find this fun to see what's been sprayed here at the fraternity. So we're going to jump into it. We got a lot of fragrances to talk about, so no long intro. Let's get into it. Let's get down to business. All right. So first fragrance that I decided to reach for is a blue fragrance. Been a while since I pulled this one out. This is Lhomme Le Parfum from YSL. Now, I ranked this as my favorite blue fragrance maybe about a year ago. I need to go through and update my blue fragrance rankings. But yeah, I have always been a big fan of blue fragrances. What you're going to get here is this violet kind of ozonic feature that's really nice about it. You're going to get a decent amount of this ambroxan, amberwood type of, modern freshness going on. You're also going to get a healthy dose of geranium that I pick up here. And you're also going to get a little bit of that Lhomme ginger OG, DNA. If you like fragrances like YEDP, this is kind of in a similar vein, maybe not quite as sweet, but definitely has that modern blue kind of synthetic amber woody edge to it. So if you like what's going on there and you know that one's quite popular, you may want to get your nose and check out this one if you enjoy maybe a little bit of a ginger twist on that scent profile. A lot of great fragrances in this Lhomme line. You should definitely check this line out if you're not familiar with it. If you enjoy fresh fragrances, you're bound to find one that really works well for you, then you're going to really enjoy from the Lhomme line. So YSL Lhomme Le Parfum. Next up, that night, I usually wear 2 fragrances a day, was Lorenzo Pizzaglia's Esco Pazzo. It was my first time wearing this fragrance, and this is quite an interesting fragrance, definitely more on the artistic side of things. It is a fougere, but it doesn't have a barbershop smell, so that may be a little bit confusing, but you're going to get a very aromatic experience here, a lot of black pepper, very peppery, and you get a healthy dose of this Artemisia too, which gives it a bit of a green nuance, a bit of a difficult fragrance to describe. You can only really know if you experience it yourself because it is so nuanced, it is so complex. Lorenzo Pia does amazing work, true artistry when it comes to perfumery. And I was really excited when I discovered this brand like a couple years ago. And now it seems that everybody has finally realized how great this brand name is, because I hear them mentioned quite often where they were not at all before. So Esco Pazzo, if you enjoy fougères, if you want something a little bit more artistic, a little bit green, a little bit peppery, and a nice kind of like leathery and tobacco as well as it dries down. So very complex and nuanced, but if you're watching a video like this, you're probably a little bit more into this fragrance thing than most people, right? So check out Esco Pazzo. Last time I looked on Olfactory, they had it for a phenomenal price, and that's where I picked up my bottle. So if you're interested, you can check that out. All right, next up, the next day I went with, I usually go with the fresher stuff during the day. I went with Coach Green. It's been a while since I've worn it, so I pulled it out. I kind of wanted that kiwi note experience here. So this is very similar to Prada Luna Rossa Carbon, which also gets compared to Sauvage. I say Luna Rossa Carbon because I don't get that peppery spice that you get with Sauvage. I get more of this lavender and like rounded off scent profile that you would associate with Carbon a little bit more. So I find it a tad closer to that one. Basically just take that and you add a really nice fruity kiwi. It is a little bit on the synthetic side, but I find it quite enjoyable. It lasts a decent amount of time and you can get this for a good price. These Coach fragrances are very easygoing and something that you can start your day off with that isn't too challenging and just can kind of, boost you and get you going in the morning. So Coach Green, if you want a nice like kiwi sweetness with your, shower gel freshness, combining those two things really well. So that's Coach Green. All right, next up we went back to niche at night. That seems to be a trend here. With Suspiro's Prima Donna. Again, my first full wearing of this. This is a bit of a new acquisition for me. This is a beautiful, beautiful leather fragrance. It also combines, just an amalgamation of fruits and this floral musk component as well. If you're familiar with Suspiro, you can kind of pick up this floral musk DNA in some of their fragrances. I definitely pick it up in Dolce Melodia, which is another really popular one from the house. I get some of those nuances here as well, where this one is more focused on leather and just a fruity combination. I would say it leans a little bit feminine, but there are just some fragrances that I find so beautiful that I want to wear them and experience them myself. And with the addition of the leather, I do find that it is unisex enough to where I can pull it off. But, the florals and musk here may sway you towards, being unable to wear it as a guy. Just something to keep an eye out for. Definitely want to sample this one before you go off and blind buy it like I did. I don't suggest that, but this was a blind buy win for me, and I'm very happy with it. I love the House of Suspiro. I think they have amazing work, and I'm looking forward to trying more. But you know, if you enjoy like a Tuscan leather, but maybe not as rough and animalic as that one, you know, not as masculine as the Tuscan leather, definitely more on the fruity side than that, but kind of reminds me of that in the distance, perhaps, if I had to compare it to something. Yeah, Prima Donna is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. All right, next up we have, there was a conversation among the Fragcom, our people, and pineapple was coming up. So we were talking about our favorite pineapple fragrances. So that kind of sparked my interest to wear Summer Vibes 4.0 here in the dead of winter, as everyone is telling me how freezing and how cold they are. I'm over here wearing Summer Vibes 4.0 on a 70-degree day in Los Angeles. Life is good, thank you God. You know, what can I say? I don't want to rub it in too hard. Anyway, yeah, just pineapple. That's all you really need to know about this. Kind of has this ice cold feeling to it as well. Very refreshing. Definitely a summer fragrance, but I believe this is an extrait de parfum. So if you wanted to wear this in the winter, I think that the, you know, fruitiness definitely would cut through the cold, especially given the strength of this concentration. So authenticity, they have a couple good fragrances, and this is by far the best one in my opinion. This is Summer Vibes 4.0, very reasonably priced and good high quality with high concentration too, if you you know, value performance. So next that night, I kind of wanted to go back to cheapy land with Abercrombie and Fitch Authentic Night. Really beautiful blend here of one of my favorite profiles, which is that Fierce DNA, that Mont Blanc Legend, Percival, that kind of DNA, that lavender, fresh, aromatic, classic meets modern age, kind of neo-fougere, I guess you could say. That combines that with a bit of this pear fruitiness that you would find in Ultra Male. So it doesn't go all the way towards a clubbing fragrance per se, but definitely a more youthful scent, because you do pick up on that sweetness of that pear, similar that you would find in Ultra Male. I do prefer this to Ultra Male. Sadly, the performance on this is so. It is an eau de parfum concentration, but I find that although it does last a decent amount, it doesn't project that heavily. It ends up sitting pretty close to the skin, but thankfully, this bottle is pretty cheap, and I just overspray the hell out of it. Definitely one you want to spray on your clothes if you're going to be going out into the world and you want to be smelled. The only downside of this fragrance is this is perhaps the worst atomizer I've ever experienced, but it does spray at the end of the day. So, Authentic Night from Abercrombie and Fitch. All right, let's go next. The next fragrance I decided to wear was Banana Republic's Meadow Rain. And this is a beautiful, beautiful take on Creed's Silver Mountain Water. And shockingly close, really shockingly close. They did a great job here. And you get this obviously metallic freshness that you would associate, but you get a bit of this tea vibe as well. You do get a little bit of this saltiness. You also get a bit of this kind of ozonic feature, really effervescent, really bright. And certainly a profile you should get your nose on and just experience if you haven't. I know many ladies out there really love the way that this one smells. And this particular scent profile just seems to really work with the ladies for whatever reason. You know, it's fresh, but it's not boring. It's kind of has its own DNA, its own profile. So definitely something to get your nose on and experience if you're into fragrances. You really want to try the Silver Mountain DNA at some point if you can, either through Meadow Rain or the Real Thing. Always better to try the Real Thing, but this one's $20, gets you really close, and I really like to wear this one. Great quality and great performance too, at least for me personally. So Meadow Rain. All right, next up, we went with, I say we, but I mean me. I don't know why I say we. It's really weird. Anyway, I went with Spicebomb's Nightvision Eau de Parfum, the epitome of a perfect clubbing fragrance. If you want a fragrance for going out, something a little bit youthful, you're into the sweet designers, this is your best bet right here. You get this green apple kind of Jolly Rancher sweetness to it. You get, you know, something that will remind you a bit of the Invictus style bubblegum sweetness. It's definitely there. I actually prefer this one to Invictus, the OG though, because you get a lot of these added spices working in here, which you would, you know, probably assume with a name like Spicebomb. It has to be at least a little bit spicy. Although this one doesn't really smell like the original Spicebomb and kind of veers its own direction, this one is more for like the sweet fragrance lovers. If you enjoy sweet designers, this is going to be right up your alley and you're going to absolutely love this. So definitely worth looking into. Spicebomb, Nightvision, the Eau de Parfum. Okay, and we're almost done, guys. I know, it's a long video. Thanks for watching. I hope it's entertaining to keep you engaged. All right, so Alexandria Fragrances is up next. We have Limmensity, their version of Lemon Sauté. or however you say it. I'm gonna not say any more French and embarrass myself. You made it this far without exiting. So anyway, Limmensity, a fantastic interpretation. Alexandria does a really good job at these LV fragrances. You know, colognes I'm very hit or miss on, but I have to say overall I've tried all of the most of the LV inspirations from Alexandria, and they nail it, especially when you start looking at the price of the LV versus this and what's being offered. I think the value is definitely there to go with the route of Alexandria here. So again, back to ginger, citrus, and broxin. Not the most complex fragrance, but certainly a fresh and uplifting type scent that really is perfect for your everyday type of workday environment. If you want to smell fresh, clean, with a nice bit of a zing with the ginger and a nice broxin that really helps like push it out and carry on throughout your whole day. No slouch in performance at all. Something absolutely magical about the way the citrus and ginger come across in this particular profile. I love it in many different variations, whether it's this or vibrato or even ingenious ginger to an extent. There's something really special about the way ginger and citrus works together in a fragrance. So Limmensity from Alexandria. Then later that night, I went to a very interesting fragrance. This is from the house of Jusbox. This is Cheeky Smile. This is such an interesting fragrance. When I first smelled it, I wasn't really sure how I felt about it because it was so different than anything I'd ever tried before. But as I kept wearing it, it kept growing on me. And by the maybe third or fourth time I was wearing it out of my sample, I decided to want to get a full bottle. And I'm glad I did, because even to this day, as I continue to wear it and experience it out of the full bottle, it's become one of my favorite fragrances. I absolutely love this stuff, guys. Just such a, complex experience from a very synthetic fragrance, which I always find really interesting because, a lot of times people compare quality to the amount of naturals in a fragrance. Well, this is kind of, the opposite of that. This is all synthetics. There isn't a natural note found in here. If you look at the note breakdown, it's ambro fix, ambro wood, amber this, amber that. All synthetics, but it's just so beautiful, and it comes across very opulent and high quality. So it's just a bit of an anomaly, and a fragrance that I just personally have continued to enjoy more and more as I've worn it. I think you'll have the same experience if you get your nose on it. Cheeky Smile, beautiful, from the house of Jusbox. All right, 2 more days. We are almost at the end, folks. I'm not gonna spend too much time on this one because it is sadly discontinued. But shout out to my buddy Vince. He sent me this one. This is Poseiden's Madagascar Vanilla Chariot. Yeah, imagine someone on the street asking you what you're wearing. You have to remember to tell them that. Basically, a mix of Leighton and Aventus. It's kind of like a hybrid that they created. And I actually prefer this to either Leighton or Aventus on its own. I really like this hybrid. I'm not the biggest Dua guy, but every now and then they have a fragrance that I think is really a hit. And this is probably my favorite one from the house of Dua. Yeah, don't want to spend too much time because sadly it's no longer available, and I don't want to go and on about a fragrance that you wouldn't even be able to experience. So I feel guilty doing that. So anyway, a nice little twist if you happen to come across this and you want to know what it is. All right. Then later that night, I've been wanting to get this one back in the rotation. It is Tente Atam. The epitome of a fall fragrance. It is the dead of winter as I'm making this video, but really where I live, fall, winter, it's not that big of a difference. You really get this kind of earthiness here. You get a bit of a lactonic feel as well. I compare this to the smell of like a dried leaf that's fallen off a tree, but you get a little bit of like a sugary sweetness added to it, so it's not as earthy and damp and like mossy or anything like that. A really beautiful fragrance, perfumed by the famous Cecile Zarokian. She's worked on many niche perfumes and is really well known, and her work speaks for itself. So get your nose on this one. If you enjoy Maison Margiela's Replica Autumn Vibes, this takes that kind of idea and just does it better, elevates it, and it's the same vein, but I enjoy this one far more. So Tente Atam from Jaques Fath. You can get these for an insane deal when they're running on clearance on FragranceNet. I believe like under $30, I think, which is nuts. This is a very great quality niche house, French perfumery. So yeah, it's kind of shocking that they go for those prices. But sometimes you find good deals if you stay on these things. All right, last day, I promise not too much more rambling that you're gonna have to get through. This is Chopard's Cedar Malaki. Oh, Malaki, you are beauty. This is woods and leather and a masculine punch right to your face. I absolutely love the grapefruit in here. I think that doesn't get mentioned enough. There is this beautiful, beautiful grapefruit, a photorealistic grapefruit in the opening of this fragrance that really persists for a decent while, you know, like maybe 2-ish hours. I'm still picking up that grapefruit, and if you spray it on your shirt or clothing, the grapefruit really stays much longer. As it settles down, you're going to get left with mainly woods and a very leathery experience, I believe coming from a labdanum note and maybe a little bit of saffron too, can't quite remember, but fantastic quality for the price. I think it's in that $60 range, and this could easily be a $100+ fragrance just in terms of quality. Good performance here. If you want something kind of rugged, masculine with a nice citrus grapefruit up top, definitely look at the Chopard Cedar Malaki. Great bang for your buck and a nice leathery fragrance as well. All right, last one. This is Xerjoff's 40 Knots. I always come back to this one time and time again. Absolutely love this. It is on the powdery side, so if you're not into powdery fragrances, this may not be your jam. Sandalwood and honey are really the two things you're going to pick up the most prominently here. At least that's what I get. 40 Knots, the name may be a little bit misleading. Nothing aquatic here. Not something you would maybe think of when you see this blue bottle and you hear 40 knots. You're maybe thinking blue aquatic shower gel, perhaps marine. No, it's none of those things. It's sandalwood mainly and honey. So a little bit throws you off with the name, but you may get your nose on it and try it and find you really love it, which is basically the experience that I had. So 40 knots, fantastic stuff. All right, guys, that's it for this edition of the weekly rotation. I'm going to try to keep these going. If you are interested in what I'm wearing, I've been trying to consistently post it on Instagram so that way I can go back, reference it, and then make this video once a week. So I appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed watching. I'll catch you next time at the Fragrance Fraternity. Keep it spraying. Keep bringing out that positive energy, guys. We have enough negativity in the world, so we need more positivity, and I appreciate your time watching this video. Hope it finds you in good health, and may you wear your fragrances in good health, more importantly. Have a great day, guys. Take care.